Gather round the flickering candlelight and prepare to cross the veil. Each week on the Boocifer Séance, your ghostly guides, Mrs. and Mr. Booth, summon a chilling new tale from the other side. From haunted mansions and cursed forests to restless spirits with unfinished business, this spectral duo dives deep into spine-tingling ghost stories that will haunt your dreams. Whether it's a forgotten legend or a real-life haunting, no story is too eerie for the booze to conjure. So light a candle, clutch your blanket tight, and dare to join the seance, because once you listen, something might just follow you home. Enter, if you dare.
No.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the Boocifer Séance episode 2 of season what? 2? I'm Mrs. Boocifer if this is your first time joining in.
And I'm Mr. Boocifer.
If you would like to kick us off.
Hey, I'm just going to throw me in the fire.
Straight to the fire, buddy.
All right, so this week our topic comes from a viewer. One of my good friends recommended a story that's pretty close to home. In the beautiful state of South Carolina, this story comes from Pawleys Island. We're going to be talking about the Gray Man. The Gray Man is a legend that he's a apparition that started originates back to the 1800s, but really took full effect during Hurricane Hugo. And what he does is he's actually not a haunting or a demonic apparition or anything like that. This is actually kind of a enlightening and lighthearted story about an apparition. The Gray Man is said to appear to certain individuals before a storm hits the coast of South Carolina and warns people to evacuate the area, warns them that a storm is approaching. So, yeah. So we've got a pretty good episode laid out. I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode. We do have the Patreon up for that, so please go check us out. We are still accepting viewer requests. Those will flow over into season 3, actually. We have all the episodes taken for season 2, which is awesome. We appreciate all the input that we've gotten. As we get closer to Halloween, like I said last week, things will start to get a bit spookier. But this week we're going to kind of stay a little lighthearted. Excuse me, that's a tough word for me. So I'm going to dive right in. I've got a nice little story here about the Gray Man. So they say the air feels different before a hurricane. Heavy, electric, like the world's holding its breath. In September of 1989, Pawleys Island was quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before something terrible. Locals had been watching the weather for days, tracking a storm called Hurricane Hugo. But at that point, it was still far out in the Atlantic. Nobody really believed it would come their way. That evening, Jim and Clara Moore, a married couple who lived near the southern end of the island, took a walk along the beach. The sky was an odd shade, not blue, not gray, but the color of old pewter. The tide was low and the waves rolled in slow and deliberate, like something pacing itself. They noticed someone ahead of them, a man, standing alone where the wet sand met the dry, facing the ocean. He wore what looked like a long gray coat, or maybe even a slicker. Hard to tell in that fading light. Clara would later say she thought he was a fisherman, until he didn't move. Jim called out, but the wind swallowed his voice. The man didn't turn around. He just raised one arm, a slow, deliberate motion, pointing inland. Then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone. No footprints, no movement, nothing but the empty stretch of beach. Jim and Clara stood there for a long minute, not speaking. Something about that moment, the stillness, the way the air felt, It left them both uneasy. They went home, packed a few things, and left the island. By morning, Hugo had strengthened into a monster. When it made landfall near Charleston, it tore through Pawleys Island with winds over 130 miles an hour. Homes were ripped from their foundations, boats were found sitting in living rooms, entire dunes disappeared. 2 days later, when the Moors returned to see what was left, they could hardly recognize the place. Debris everywhere, houses gone. But somehow there still stood, windows cracked, shingles missing, but the frame untouched. Neighbors told them later that others had seen the same man, a gray figure standing near the dunes in the days before the storm, always silent and always vanishing. And every single person who claimed to see him left the island early. Clara told reporters, "I know what we saw. He wasn't real, but he saved us." To this day, locals say that before every major hurricane, someone will spot him again. That same gray man, standing where the sea meets the sand, waiting for someone to listen. Some ghosts haunt out of anger, but this one comes out of love. He's not here to scare you. He's here to warn you before the water rises.
Ooh, very, very, very ominous. Oh, wait, did I say that right? Ominous?
Yes.
Jebedias? What?
Jebedias.
That was very chilling. I got chills over here in this section.
Good. That's what I was going for. So I guess to open this up, it really, there's only one question that really comes to mind when you think of this story, and it's, who is the gray man? And to find that answer, you have to understand the island itself. Pawleys Island is a narrow stretch of land and marsh off the coast of South Carolina, where the line between the land and sea, life and death, has always been thin. Pawleys Island is quite most of the year a place of weathered beach cottages, whispering pines, and the constant hum of the tide. But when the wind shifts and the sky turns heavy with salt and storm, locals say you can feel something watching from the dunes, something older than the houses and older than the town, and that's where our legend will begin. Miss Boo, do you want to start off with your bit of research?
I do. I have 3 different, I guess, versions of what people believe the gray man started. So I'll go over each one, and then I guess you can smack it back with what you found, or
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have as much rebuttal on this, but I know we talked about it a little bit over the weekend, and I think there's a lot of folklore that goes into this story, so you're going to have to bear with us because there is not as much foundation in this as I would have liked them to be, but there's a lot of personal account. But everyone's personal account, everyone's version of the history is different. So we took what we could find to be the truth, and each of us kind of came up with something different. So go ahead.
all right. So I have the most popular story and the most most popular version. It's the lover in the marsh. Um, so this one is early 1800s. A young man was traveling from Charleston to visit his fiancée on Pawleys Island. He rode fast through the pine forest across the marsh, eager to see her. But just before he reached the island, the earth gave way. His horse sank into the thick mud, or whatever you call, I guess, the marsh. He fought to pull himself free, but the marsh was just hungrier than he was. So by dawn, there was nothing left but silence and a tide. Days later, the girl woke in from a dream of her fiance, dressed in gray, standing at her window. He said only one thing: "Leave now, the storm is coming." She begged her family to go, and when the hurricane passed, their home was one of the few left standing. The others were swept into the sea. So we have that one, which is everyone, like, I kept researching, did that one. Like, they all circled around the marsh. I've heard a couple about the soldier's return. So do you want to go through each one, or do you want me to just go through mine?
No, I mean, I found my origin stories similar The origin that I found was early 1820s. Same thing. It was a wealthy young man. He was returning to propose to his wife, his girlfriend, I guess. He takes a shortcut through the marsh. It was raining that day. Him and the horse fall into the quicksand, both drown. But mine says days later, the grieving fiance was walking the beach and she saw a gray figure warning her to leave. Her and her family decided to evacuate. The hurricane hit and their home survived. That's the first account of anyone calling him the Gray Man. And it from there spread through generations, blending love and tragedy together. There's also, like I said, in my research, it really started with Hugo. There were two accounts that I had before that. The closest to us before Hugo would have been 1954, which was Hurricane Hazel, where tourists were warned by a man in a slicker. If you don't know what a slicker is, you can look it up. But a slicker is like that jacket that a fisherman wears. Or like if you play Red Dead Redemption, like those cowboys, they wear slickers, that long black leather jacket, or fishermen wear them. So like you think like SpongeBob and stuff, like the fisherman wears that long yellow jacket. That's like what a slicker is. Are you trying to find a picture? See if she can pull a picture up. Yeah, because most of these stories they report him. So that's like a fisherman slicker, but the one he is like that one down below it. You see that? Yeah, that's what they imagine him in, which I imagine more like a cowboy outfit. But I think what he is portrayed to be in is like a fisherman slicker. And then so that was 1954 Hurricane Hazel. And then the only other account, other than of course the 1820s, his actual fiance scene that I found was 1893 in the Sea Islands hurricane. Excuse me, which is when fishermen see a man in gray waving towards inland roads before the Sea Islands hurricane in 1893. If you've got more, go ahead.
I do. I have one where another one tells it saying the Gray Man was a Confederate soldier coming home after the war. He never made it back alive, but when the islands face danger, his ghost returns to finish the duty he never could. Locals have seen him standing at the edge of the dunes, coat torn, eyes fixed on the horizon, a storm building behind him, and they say he would just raise his one hand in a silent salute before vanishing into the wind. And then I had another one where it's like they call it, like, the title of it, they call it the Keeper of the Pelican Inn. There's Plodin Weston, a wealthy rice planter and one of Pawleys' earliest residents. Some say his spirit lingers around Pelican Island, the home he once built by the sea. When the sky turns gray, the inn's guests sometimes report seeing a figure pacing along the porch. A man in the 19th century, 19th century clothes, head bound, watching the ocean rise. Maybe it's the Gray Man, or maybe it's just the island itself. Remember? But that's really it. No one, is there a truth to it? No one really knows who the Gray Man is. Is it a lost lover, a soldier, a guardian, or something older that ties the storms to themselves? Every generation sees someone different. 1989, just before Hugo had one. 2018, before Hurricane Florence. Each time they said he appears, and each time he has saved someone.
To add a little bit of context to what she's saying, this is from a website called HereMyrtleBeach.com. They have kind of Myrtle Beach news and stuff like that. Like I said, a lot of this is legend. It's kind of what people make it to be. Like there's a lot of running with it, if that makes sense. So like, I'm gonna read this paragraph because this is another origin, and it kind of jokes about what people say. But it says, if you're scratching your head and wondering who the Gray Man truly is, you're definitely not alone. Some locals believe he might even be the infamous pirate Blackbeard. Now, that would be something. Elizabeth weighs in on more of the historical theories, noting how some think he is a ghost with actual connections to South Carolina's past. One such thought connects him to Plowden Weston, who was originally an English plantation owner and Confederate captain. He lived on Hagley Plantation during the Civil War and had a summer home in Pawleys Island, which still stands today as the charming Pelican Inn. He organized his local men into a gray uniformed company, which made things unique given most wore federal uniforms at the time. Weston died of tuberculosis before the war ended, but local lore suggests he may still be looking over the island from beyond. So again, there's multiple origin stories for this. So
Yep, it's like each generation, each hurricane, they see their own version of it. And if you're ever walking on the island and the sky turns color and you see a man in gray, leave. Just leave. Pack your stuff up and leave. Don't ask, don't wait, don't stop. Just leave. Don't collect your $200. Straight up leave. Just leave.
So I will say, touching on the 2018 Hurricane Florence sighting, that sighting was actually caught on beach camera footage. And the beach camera footage reportedly shows a gray man in the dunes doing exactly what he does. But that is the first, like, confirmed, like, we got this thing on video type deal. So that came as soon, or as, you know, one of the closest sightings to our time in 2018. They say that they caught him on beach camera footage in the dunes. But there are some consistencies that I want to go over. So through all the historical sightings, most, if not all, of the stories tell of him appearing 24 to 48 hours before the storm makes landfall. That is consistent. He hasn't been seen, you know, and I know hurricanes, you know, you're not hearing about them 6 months in advance, but it is pretty interesting that everyone consistently says he's there within 24 hours of the hurricane making landfall, and then he vanishes without a trace, of course. Homes of the witnesses are often spared from destruction. Now, this is an interesting one for me because this can also be a fact that leads to some sort of faith-based reaction. I'm not going to get into religion necessarily, but I think that this can be translated as a reaction of our home was spared and we want to find a reason why. Not saying that he's not true, but it is interesting that just about everyone who's reported a story of the gray man, their home has been spared from the story or from the hurricane, especially the one during Hurricane Hugo. That's, I mean, it's godlike that your house was saved from that hurricane. I mean, the Hurricane Hugo affected us in our town, and I wasn't alive then, but I hear stories from my parents and my grandparents all the time of how bad that hurricane was here. I can only imagine on Pawleys Island. And it is interesting and it's consistent that locals have continually treated this as an omen, it hasn't developed into some sort of haunting. It hasn't developed into some sort of this guy was murdered. It's consistently stayed a good omen and an informative thing to tell citizens to evacuate, and that no one has taken it and ran with it and tried to make it into some ridiculous horror story, or it hasn't appeared on some 10-cent ghost hunter story either. So there's that, which I find very pleasing because it shows that the locals have embraced the true history of the story and not necessarily run with their imaginations. So
Oh, this one, I feel bad that it was a short one, but I still think it's a very good one.
hold on, I ain't done.
Oh.
We just got here, bro.
Oh.
You got somewhere to be?
No, I don't got somewhere to be. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just saying.
We just got here, dude. Let's see. So there were some modern reflections and eyewitness voices as well. So a lifeguard in 2018 claims that he saw the man near the pier who vanished mid-stride. So that was another, I think that was also during Hurricane Florence. So that's actually two accounts, one via camera, one via lifeguard, for Hurricane Florence. There is a rumor now, to my knowledge and to many other people researching, someone claimed that they got him on home security footage. And it wasn't a man, it was a gray blur. So
They got this
if
man
that,
on the Ring camera.
yeah, I guess. I mean, you're talking 2018 and this thing is still showing itself. So
He comes around 2025. We're gonna have him like carbonated or something.
there also has been a lot of tourists claiming that they've seen the gray man as a dream. So they see him in their dreams, nightmares, whatever you want to call it, but they see him in the dream, they leave, and they have the same sort of result. They come back and their home was unscathed in the hurricane. The locals, they leave shells or flowers on the dunes in gratitude for the hurricane season, for the gray man, kind of like an offering. And they, like I said, they see the gray man as a symbol of warning, faith, and love enduring beyond death. And a lot of them associate that with how, the main origin story, the one that's most reported is the one where the wealthy young man died on his horse and, going to propose to his girlfriend. So a lot of them see it as kind of a romantic, love beyond death thing, because he saved his girlfriend and her family originally and then continues to do that for other families. And we go back to the enduring fact is that he always, I'm weighing heavy in on that. He is consistently there 24 to 48 hours before. So he's never been sighted or seen after the hurricane, during the wreckage or anything like that, which, his slogan, his mantra, if you will, is leave while there's time. So he always appears when there is time for people to leave. He's never been sighted during or after or in the wreckage or anything like that. So that's also kind of kept the origin straight with this one. See what else I got.
I don't know if a guy in gray was like helping my family out, I wouldn't leave him like seashells or something. I got a plate of cookies that grandma made, like I help, or like a new trench coat or something. Help the man out.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting story. It's definitely different than what we normally do. But I think as a South Carolinian, it is an interesting story. It's not one that is haunting or scary necessarily, but see. A lot of locals claim if you see him, don't run from him, that he's there to help you. He's not there to harm you. A couple other things in here.
I mean, if the man handed me his ring, I would go give it to his. I mean, she's probably dead by now, but I'd go put it on like her little gravestone and be like, "Look, you're free. You're free, buddy."
They do say that, of course, he appears before hurricanes, days before. They also say that when you see him, there is, excuse me, a sort of silent air, that the sky, and there is no noise accompanying it. So, a lot of the sightings have been when folks are walking down the beach days before the hurricane. Now, you can kind of chalk that up if you know anything about hurricanes. Hurricanes suck the life out of a beach before it comes. The beach before a hurricane is dead silent. So I think that might kind of play into both sides of that. No footprints or physical Remains have been there after his appearances. Excuse me.
And if it's anything like how my husband handles heavy rains or hurricanes, I can just imagine the gray man standing there with his doing the little southern stance, hands on your hips, just watching it. Like what's that doing for you, buddy? Like, get inside. It's the storm's coming.
And this is another example. I know we've had a couple episodes where we've kind of gone back and forth about there's no physical evidence. Now, I don't know where she lands on this. I know where I land on this. And I said the same thing when we were talking about the Nun episode in England, was that there was no physical evidence. But you got to think this story's been going on since 1823. Something, whether it's mentally, whether it's physical, whatever, something has kept this story alive. And there is no like, hey, I'm selling ghost haunt tours to go find the gray man before the next Hurricane Karen comes, like for $50. There is none of that. So it's not like there's a big money maker off of this. But and I will tell you right now, being a South Carolinian, we love our folklore, so that has a lot to do with it too. You know, once a story's said in South Carolina, it'll be said to the next 100 generations. But still, something out there is keeping this story going. And I truly believe that there might not be necessarily 100% truth in it, but there's something in this situation. There's nothing bad that comes of this. Believing in this is helping people in a time of horror, real life horror, not movie horror, not demonic horror. This is a real life event that people go through, whether they believe in ghosts or not. And this person might be giving them an opportunity to, you know, base their hope on. So, but yeah, so that's
for this one. I stand on it. You know how I feel about ghosts. I don't think they exist, but as someone who I guess believes that you can have like a sixth sense of that, like something bad's gonna happen, I believe they've seen something. And you know what? If I see something, get a feeling like that a storm's coming, I'm gonna listen. I may not believe, but I ain't dumb. I ain't dumb. I'm not dumb. If I even think I see something that, like, let's say we go to the beach next time, if I even see somebody that looks, it could be a guy just going fishing. If he's got gray on, I'm leaving. We're packing our stuff up. We're going somewhere else. We're going deeper in to South Carolina. I'm sorry, we're just not being at the beach the rest of that day. That's just me.
All right. So before we end this, we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try something new with you. Are you ready?
I'm down.
Okay. So I want to do this. This is a question and answer. Genuine answer, genuine question. Okay. They're not tough questions. They're just more opinionated questions. Okay. So after this research, do you think that the gray man was ever a real person, or was he just created from years of hurricane folklore? Yes or no? Why?
I believe with the story of like the man going to his either fiance or going to propose, I think that was based on a real man.
Okay. Next question. Why do you think this legend, out of all the Carolina ghost stories, has survived for over 200 years?
Because it's like you said, this one's different. It's not about someone dying, getting hurt, being haunted. It's a love story. And you know, we're a sucker for a love story and a happy ending. So this one's going to keep
I'm
carrying
sucker
on.
for a happy ending.
Exactly. So we're going to keep this story going on because it's happy. You're not gonna keep people want terrible stories to die because I mean no one's state wants to be known for bad things. So they're gonna try and keep the better stories going, you know? So I think that's why this one has stayed.
Okay. Next question. If the gray man really was the spirit of someone lost to the island, do you think he knows what he's doing, or is he just stuck in a repeating spectral loop?
I mean, at this point, I think he is a hurricane expert, and our hurricane people should be talking to this guy for their next for their next care or their next like hurricane watch or whatever. I think they should hit this man up, ask see what he's doing and how he knows, and just that way we'll better find out when the hurricanes come. I mean, you know.
Okay, so continuing, we're going to swap from more on the legend and lore to storm and superstition. Why do you think that people see him only before hurricanes? Is it a coincidence, or is it the storm itself that draws him to warn people? Tough one.
Oof. I think that's what he knows. He knows since he had to tell his fiance to save her. I think that's all he knows is to save people.
Do you think a lot of this originates back to essentially the origin of him dying on the way to see his fiance, which obviously was pretty close to whatever that hurricane was, and he ended up saving her, and now that's just kind of what he does?
Yep, he just saves them. He likes to save the damsel in distresses.
Okay, and I think you answered this question, but I'm going to ask it again. If you saw him today, would you actually pack up your stuff and leave, or would curiosity keep you around?
Curiosity kills the cat, so I would pack up my things. I'm sorry, I don't care how much we paid for the hotel. We're leaving.
Gotcha. Just a couple more. Every sighting seems to come right before destruction. Does that make him more of a protector or a bad omen?
Oof. That's a tough one.
I will weigh in on this one. He has not been seen before every hurricane, supposedly. That's reported. I mean, you got to think how many hurricanes that have come to South Carolina, and there's only a couple that really are reported about. So if they're going to call him a bad omen, you think he would show up before all of them. Just my opinion. What do you make of the idea that he only shows up to locals and that no tourists have reported seeing?
I guess. That's a good one. I don't know why no tourists. I guess because no one really go. I guess there ain't no. Well, I don't know. They might have to see.
Here's my thought.
I
mean to cut you off. Here's my thought. Tourists do their research. Most of them. I'm not gonna say, and not everybody that goes to like Myrtle Beach does their research, but another story. But we're talking about Pawleys Island, okay? The people that go visit Pawleys Island are going to look and see what the weather's going to be. Agreed? So usually if Hurricane Hugo was coming to Pawleys Island, we're going to be like, fuck it, we're not going. But if you live there, I mean, these people are walking the beach 48 hours before Hurricane Hugo hit landfall. There's no tourists there. That's my opinion of why there's no tourists that have seen it. There's no tourists there during hurricanes. There might be a couple, but most of them are probably already packing their shit and leaving. So that's kind of where I weigh in on that one.
Yeah, I see that too.
Last two questions. Could the gray man be some kind of collective spirit, like all those who have died in the storms becoming one mourning presence? Will say, I'm going to add to that for your answer. If you look at the images, and no more images, because I put a bunch of images on the Patreon. Go look. A lot of those images are not the same person. Like it's not sometimes it's a gray entity. Sometimes it's a defined man. There's one story where he knocked on somebody's door and there was a guy standing there. It's not always the same looking spirit. But it's always described as gray. but sometimes it's a gray blob, sometimes it's a gray man in a slicker. Like, so again, is he a collective spirit of all those who died, or is it just the one from the 1800s?
I would say it's a collective spirit, and what shows is what that time feels more comfortable seeing. Because gray is like a comfort color. It's not really like, it's not scary. Like, you don't when you think of scary colors, you don't think of gray. You think of like red. You think of like black. Like, you think of like dark colors, like, or orange, like you see behind Mr. Boo. Like, when you think of gray, you don't think of it as a dark color or a scary color. So I think he's multiple in one, and he just comes out like, the what you see is what is more comfortable and comforting to that person who saw it.
All right, you ready for this last question?
Hit
Chat's
me.
going to love this.
Hit me.
Why do you think that people are more likely to believe in a ghost like this, one that helps, than in something evil or vengeful?
Oh, why not? Why? You know what? It was just like dominoes. Like, each one slowly falling, and the last one's just like, boom, cornered.
Black Sheep said it might be a trap, and I think I have to agree with her.
Oof, oof. I guess because
I want an honest answer. I want an honest answer, Honest Abe. Listen here. Honest answer.
I I would say because at, you're taught at a young age that ghosts aren't scary. Ghosts aren't scary. Ghosts aren't real. And then they tell you, then you meet Casper, Casper the friendly ghost, and you're like, okay, that one could be real, or like a family member passed away. Oh, that's just your grandparent you saw, but nothing. You're never told about the bad ones. So your whole life you're growing up being told the bad ones don't exist. The haunt, like, that's demonic. They don't exist. And when you're like, my family grew up Catholic, so the bad ones don't exist. They're not ghosts, they're demons. They're not ghosts. Ghosts are not real, demons are real. Like, they're demons. So when you hear about a good one, they're you're more it's hard to, I can't get my words out. You're more drawn towards it because it's more like a spirit or an angel. And those as you're growing up, you're told those are real. Those are real. So yes, the good ones are more likely for me to believe because I grew up being told angels and spirits are real.
I think, and I'm stealing Toxic's comment here, and I think this is where they were going with it, but this is what came to my mind is that when you think of a demonic spirit, you watch movies like The Conjuring and stuff like that, you think that stuff is never going to happen to me. I'm never going to run into Annabelle, all that crap, right? But how close to home, to especially South Carolinians, does hurricanes hit? This is something, and like you said, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. So more people are going to be okay with believing in it. Most people aren't okay with believing in it because, like you said, it's against how they were brought up, or maybe they were never brought up to believe either way. But it's easier to believe in something that's good for you than it is to believe in something that's bad for you or is evil to you. And this is something that helps people. So more people are going to be more open-minded and more willing to listen and believe than something that can harm them or supposedly. That's what I think. Anyway, that's our episode. So I know it was not as scary or spooky as others. I promise. This is the calm before the storm. No pun intended. But it truly is. There's more to come. So, yeah, we're going to get off here. Patreon, please go check out our Patreon. You can either purchase, if you find a episode that you're very interested in and you'd like to see our research, or we even post our like outline that kind of guides us through this. I post images, all that kind of thing. is on there. You can either buy the post for $5 specifically that you want to look at, or you get everything that we post for a monthly subscription of $5. And all that money comes right back to this, to making this podcast better. So also Facebook, what else do we have? Discord, check us out in the Miss Boo Discord. Facebook, you can get a hold of us there if you have ideas. We also have an email. We have, what else do we have? Twitter. We have all that stuff. So if you have a viewer submission and you'd like to get it on the list, please, please, please reach out to us. This podcast will be available hopefully tomorrow on YouTube and Spotify. We're doing really well on our YouTube, so please, please continue to spread the word. Let people know about the YouTube. The YouTube has the full edited VOD up with the images and everything, and then Spotify obviously is just the audio. Also on the Patreon, for those people that didn't make stream tonight, we post the full, I say unedited, I still do a little bit of editing, but they get start to finish, even the second half with Twitch on the back, in that VOD as well. So there's a lot of good stuff over there, and all that money comes right back to support the podcast. So we're going to end it there, and we will see you guys next. And as always,
Stay spooky.
stay spooky.